You've tuned into Radio Northern Beaches. We live stream on rnb.org.au across the northern beaches of New South Wales, Australia and all over the world. You can also catch us local on 88.7 and 90.3 FM. Our podcasts are available at your convenience at rnb.org.au or rnbpodcast.com. So you and your friends don't miss any episodes. Don't forget to follow and share. Now here's our latest podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the men's shed story. The shed holds an important place in Australian culture. It can be a reservoir for memories, experiences, a place to share skills and to socialise. We've all read reports which tell us that good health is based on many factors, including self-esteem, feeling productive and valuable in society, and having social relationships and being active. Now, today we're talking to Tim from the Men's Shed. Hello, Tim. Welcome. Thanks for coming and talking to us.
Oh, hi, Christine. It's lovely to be here.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tim, you live locally?
I live in French's Forest and have done for 52 years.
How long have you been with the Men's Shed?
I set it up. See if I can talk a little bit about how that came about.
Please do.
Yeah, well, back when I was 55, I had a shoulder injury and I was working in a very, very high stress environment. I was a business consultant, and that coupled with the shoulder injury, I decided to take early retirement at the tender age of 55. After about 6 months, my darling wife said to me, you really need to do something to get out of the house. And I said, well, yes, probably. And I was, to be perfectly honest, I was going through a period of quite serious depression. And at the time, my wife was the office secretary cum factotum at the Uniting Church in Willoughby. And one day she came home with a brochure and she said, take a look at this. This looks like something you might be interested in. And it was a very, very brief overview of the Lane Cove Men's Shed, which had been set up in 1998, I think. And she said, think about joining. I did, and I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to drive all the way to Lane Cove, but I will go and stick my head in and have a look, which I did. And I met the coordinator of the shed, who was a beautiful lady. She was a registered nurse, and she was actually employed by Uniting Care Ageing. And that's where the shed was located. It was underneath a building, an aged care centre. That shed comprised about 3 car parking spaces and a few walls and a lot of tools and a lot of men who were having a wonderful time. I spent quite some time there chatting with them. Came away, and I said to my wife when I got back, I said, that shed's a really great idea. And she said to me, well, you going to join it? I said, no, I think I'll start one.
Well, why did you think you might start one rather than going there?
Well, A, I didn't want to travel that far.
Well, that's a good reason.
And B, the real reason was I thought it was such a great idea that I thought something like that would be really, really good to have in the forest. And so at the end of 2003, I started thinking about how we might set up a men's shed. Little did I know the size of the project that was in front of me.
So it was quite a feat to do.
Oh, it was a massive feat. And I have to say that if it wasn't for the support of a journalist on the Manly Daily at the time, whose name was Marge Ballesses, God bless her, it probably wouldn't have happened. She was very, very supportive, gave the project a lot of publicity, and this was in very, very early days. And cut a long story short, I was looking for some partners, and at the time I was very heavily involved in French's Forest Lions Club. I'd been a member there for quite a number of years, and having already given a fair amount of thought to how a project like this might gain some traction, I then took the idea to our board at the Lions Club, and with a bit of gentle persuasion, I eventually convinced the board to at least give some thought to being involved in a project like that. And so I took members of the board over to Lane Cove and showed them. They came away saying, this is a good idea. So I then said to them, well, how about we, as a club, sponsor this as a community project? And they said, yes, okay, on one condition, and that is that you drive the project.
Okay, yeah. And you went, yes?
Well, I guess I said 2 things. I said, well, great. And then I thought, well, how am I going to do this? So the next thing I needed to do was to find, just how much value the community thought there would be in having a men's shed. So I wrote a discussion paper, which is, I don't know how many pages long. It was 4 or 5 pages long. And it was a concept plan, and I distributed that concept plan to everywhere that I could think about. if you name it, I sent it to them, just to try and gauge the level of community support for a project like that. Would it be something that the community would value? And all the feedback was, terrific, from both men and their wives.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, yeah. So then I needed to see, well, can we really get some other partners involved in this, and where do we put it? And the where do we put it, where do we build a shed, place a shed, was the real stumbling block. It took an enormous amount of time to move from, hey, it's a good idea, to, is this actually feasible? And I was very fortunate in being able to connect with the Uniting Care Ageing people at Wesley Gardens. And if you remember, the Lane Cove shed was also in a facility, aged care facility, which was,
as you said earlier,
Uniting Care Ageing. So the then general manager, or the regional manager, I had a chat with her, and she said, this is just such a great idea. We would love to get behind this project, and we will find you some place to put it. If you can find at least one other community partner, we will get behind this and we will help make this happen. So I then approached the Rotary Club of Belrose and twisted their arm, and they finally agreed to get involved in the project as well. So we had two community service groups, Lions and Rotary, and we had an aged care facility provider that, Uniting Care Ageing at the time said this will give us a wonderful opportunity to reach beyond the four walls of our facility and actually do something that embraced the community. And from that point onwards, it took another 3 years.
Oh, so it was quite involved in getting set up.
It took 2.5 to 3 years to even find a place to put it.
Right.
And we finally got the facility that we've got now, but not after a lot of chopping and changing, and a lot of pushback from the local council at the time.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah, it was at the time when the council was in administration.
Ah.
Yeah. And so they didn't want to buy into it. We had all sorts of zoning problems. So in the end, let's just say a place was found for the men's shed inside the aged care facility. And that's where we still are. And we've been there for 17 years.
Oh, excellent. And how many members do you currently have?
Not as many as we'd like. We'd love to get a lot more. The answer to the question is probably on the books about 65 members.
Oh, that's a good membership.
Our peak was just prior to the 2020 COVID, and we had 100 members at that time. And of course, not all those men come at the same time. So
obviously.
So the shed's yeah. Well,
it would be a fun place if they all came at once.
Wouldn't it? We've got a capacity of about 14 or 15 fellas a day.
Right.
Just for safety reasons, and, where do we put them, sit down and eat lunch, that sort of thing.
And what age group are they at the moment?
Well, average age is 80 plus.
And so you're looking for membership in the lower age groups?
We'd love to have guys who are, in the 55 and upwards area, who are either, I like to use the word transitioning to retirement, even if that transition takes 10 years.
That's fair enough. But you get to know the guys in the meantime and have a bit of a play with different things. So what sort of things do you do? Obviously woodwork is one of them, you've mentioned that, but what other sorts of trades do you do?
Well, it is a woodworking facility. We've often been asked if we could set up metalwork as well, but there are two reasons why we don't. We don't have the space. We've got quite limited space and no room to expand. But the main reason that we don't do any metalwork is that metalwork and timberwork just don't. They don't go together. They are not good bed buddies. So the workshop was essentially, men's shed was essentially set up as a hobbies workshop for retired blokes, for old buggers.
But it's become a lot more than that now. It's got a lot to do with mental health and gentlemen getting together and talking out what's going on with them, socialising.
Absolutely.
As we said at the beginning.
As I've said many, many times, the woodworking is just the excuse. It's not the reason. The reason is all about men's health and men's well-being, and, as you say, socialising, and just having blokes being able to have a good chin wag with other blokes. It's great fun, and we have such enormous fun. I mean, I've been at the men's shed today, and the shayaking that goes on is just something to behold.
A lot of fun.
It's just a lot of fun.
The thing is, some of the younger generation look at the older generation and say, they're just too old. But in my experience, I've found, and I've found with my grandchildren as well, that they learn so much from the older generation, not only in skills that they learn with the woodwork, but also in just talking to the older generation. I think we saw some of that with that show on television where they put the school kids with the people in the homes.
Wasn't That was a great show, wasn't it?
It was, and just to watch that was amazing. And I think I know, and I have always held the values that the older generations are encyclopedias. They've got information that you can't get on the internet. You have discussions that you will never have on the internet, and there's knowledge and companionship again that you can't get on the internet. So no matter whether they're young chaps of the age of 18 and over, or middle-aged gentlemen, this is something that they can't get anywhere else. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely, I agree. As a parent of 4 kids and with grandchildren as well, I agree 100%. The people that we want to get, the guys that we want to get, are the guys who are thinking about leaving work or have left their work and no longer have access to the social networks that they may have had in business. And it's quite surprising when you talk to the guys who join the shed, the number of them who say, as soon as I retired, I lost my social network.
Yeah, it's amazing how that works for both women and men.
Women do coffee.
Yeah, we kind of do.
Men tend not to do coffee. Men tended to rely upon their trade or their business or their professional network. Okay, some of them have belonged to bowling clubs or they play golf. But the men's shed provides something that's quite different. Sometimes it's very difficult to put your finger on what that is. But when you see it happening, when you see the change that takes place in men who come to the shed and then they've been there a while, and their demeanour in many ways, just the way they talk to other blokes changes, and a lot of it's to do with the shy act, and the joke telling and the yarns and the stories and a little bit of one-upmanship.
You got plenty of fishing stories in there as well.
Yeah, we've got some fishing stories.
My dad was a fisherman. Oh my goodness.
We've got. We break twice a day. We break at 10:30 for a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, which I still call smoko, and then we break again at 12:30 for lunch, and that's a time when the tools go down, the machinery gets turned off, and it's a time just to spend chatting or, not in the noise.
So that brings me to, when are you open? What hours and what days?
5 days a week, closed weekends and public holidays, and open from 9:45 till 3 o'clock, 5 days a week.
When I was up in Taree, I went up to see my brother, and the men's shed had built these wonderful little garden wishing wells, which I bought one of, and it's still in my garden. I love it. Do you do that sort of thing where you actually can raise funds by selling things like that?
Yeah, good question. The reason it's a good question is because we used to, and I wish we still did, going back in time, and because of the relationship with the French's Forest Lions Club, whenever our Lions Club, of which I was then a member, had a bookstall up at the local shopping centre up at Forestville, the men's shed would go along as well. So Lions would set up all their books, and we would set up what you might call our crafts. Stuff that the blokes had made that were there to be sold to raise funds to help finance the shed. And some of the things that these guys made...
They're amazing, the skills.
Just extraordinary outcomes. I can think of one guy who's still a member of the shed. He made these magnificent timber trains, incredible detail. And he would make these trains, and he'd make 3 or 4 sets a year that we would sell at Christmas time. We didn't raise bucketfuls of money, but it was a way that the guys could make a contribution, to the shed. And they had a lot of fun in the process. Unfortunately, as we've got older and as the Lions Club members have got older, those book fairs happen less and less frequently. And as a consequence, our ability to tack on, if you like, has become less and less over the years. And to a certain extent, some of the guys are saying, well, I've been making these things for the shed for, X number of years. I think it's time other people took their turn. And some of the newer members aren't quite as interested in doing that as the older guys.
We're struggling with that sense of voluntary community stuff. All of us. I mean, the Inner World, the Rotary, the Apex, the Lions, we're all struggling with the volunteer side of things, which is a shame because it's such a way to enrich your life.
We still do a lot of, I'm going to use the word community service, but it's not community service where we go out into the community and do stuff. It's doing stuff for the community. I'll just give you a couple of examples, if I might.
Certainly.
On our website, which is a pretty good website. We have like a little section that says, what can we do for you? And, we quite often get people who'll just ring up or just literally blow in and say, this is broken, can you fix it? Or I need one of these things and I can't buy it anywhere, so could you make one? And all those sorts of things. And now, right at the moment, literally as we speak, sitting in the workshop that I've just left, are two projects that we're doing for people in the organisations in the community. One is we're making this enormous dog kennel. You could fit a moose into it. So this chap, call him a customer, wandered into the shop a couple of weeks ago and said, can you make a dog kennel for me? I've got this dog and it needs a dog kennel this size. And
it needs more of a house than a dog kennel.
It's more of a house. And so we put it out to our members to say, would anybody be interested? So that's where the volunteer bit comes in. Would you volunteer to do this job on me? And one of our members said, yes, I'll build a dog kennel as long as the customer provides the timber. So the timber turned up and now the dog kennel is a work in progress, and I think we're going to need a crane to get it out. It's massive. And alongside of that is something that we're doing for the local church. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, the local pastor came in and said, the church has just reopened. The little church had been closed and they've just reopened it. We need this little table made. I wasn't privy to the whole conversation, but only part of it. We need this table made. And so there was some discussion going on about, modifying something that they've already got or getting something from the recycling thing at Terry Hill's tip and Kimbrickie tip and remodelling it. And it was finally agreed that one of the very well-skilled men at the shed, extraordinary carpenter, he said, I'll make it. I'll make the table. Now, my idea of what he was making, I know that your audience can't see this, but my idea of the table that he was making was something about 1.5 meters, wide, maybe 800 deep, a little bit lower than this table that we're sitting at. So what we've got is a Taj Mahal table that's being built for the church, which is about 2.5 metres long and about 1 metre deep.
Wow.
And about a bit lower than this table. It's got drawers in it and it's been made beautifully, absolutely. It's a stunning piece of handcrafted furniture. And the really nice thing is that the timber that's being used to make it came out of the chapel at the War Vets.
Seriously?
The old chapel at the War Vets at
How cool is that?
Coleroy Plateau, right? We acquired all that timber, and it's all beautiful timber. And it's been sitting in our storeroom. And so this table that we're making for the church is out of recycled pews from the War Vets Chapel. Isn't that nice?
It's wonderful. Yeah. It's wonderful that those sort of things can be reused.
And that's the sort of thing that our members will do. So if somebody says, can you do, can you make, can you fix? We just say, yeah. The lady came in the other day with a rattan chair. It was broke. And she said, my dad was sitting in this chair and the back broke off it. And I said, well, bring it in. We'll have a look at it. But rattan is very, very difficult. It's very brittle. Very brittle. Anyway, we brought it. She brought it in and we looked at it and I thought, oh, goodness, this is one of those jobs that you either get it right or you get it awfully wrong. Do we want to take the risk? And I thought to myself, well, in for a penny, in for a quid, give it a go. We fixed it. I think it's stronger now than when it was made. The lady came in just Tuesday and picked it up and gave us a donation.
Well, that was nice of her.
Yeah. We only ever ask people for a donation. We don't
ask for it to be paid.
We don't ask for them if they can't afford to pay it, but that's fine. We just do it.
Well, Tim, I could sit here and talk to you for hours. I am truly so interested in the stories you've been telling me, but we do have to stop. So I hope you'll agree to come back and talk to me another time. First of all, we need to know the address and how to contact you.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Well, the men's shed is in Morgan Road at Belrose. Inside, in the grounds of the Wesley Gardens Aged Care Facility at 2E Morgan Road. And the easiest way to contact us is to look at our website.
And the address to the website is
www.forestmenshed.org.au, and all of the contact details are there, and there's a story about how the shed started. There are stories about what we do, examples of what we do, and if people don't want to do that, they can just ring the shed. There's the telephone numbers on the website, or if they don't want to do any of that, they can just blow in anytime. They're very welcome to have a cup of tea.
That's excellent, Tim. Thank you so much for joining us and telling us your stories. They've been so interesting, and I do want you to come back and tell me some more.
Australia, the lucky country. We've got meat pies. We've got the world's best beer. And most importantly, top of the list, we've got Radio Northern Beaches 88.7, 90.3. Now hitting the entire world on www.rmb.org.au.